Grog.
Hey guys, welcome to the Sideshow podcast. It's Peter Fickling here with Kerry Warbis and Matthew Weir. Massive thank you for all of the kind words over the last week from Susie coming in. Guys, it was amazing good fun.
It really was. She was a delight. We've been riding on a bit of a wave since then, haven't we? In addition to that, last week I had a rampant sexathon.
Did you?
No.
That's killed what I was about to say.
Oh, has it?
Matthew's just had a sort of, middle of the range sex.
I was just going to say, what sort of sexathon was yours, Matthew?
I was actually just going to say much the same as you did. Like, thanks for all the love for the episode, and like love from Susie herself as well. She was very nice about it after the event, wasn't she?
She was.
Yeah.
On social media, yeah, it was really good fun. It flew by.
There's no faking being as nice as Susie is, I don't think. I
No.
think, she's a very obvious and genuine person.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. She's very lovely.
She is. And we literally could have carried on talking for hours and hours and hours, couldn't we? We overran, but didn't really notice. So well done editing that, Peter.
It was worth it. It was a big old slab of effort. But there's always a bit of adrenaline left over after the show. I didn't think I got to bed till about 1 o'clock because we didn't finish till going on midnight or something. And it was a lot of fun. So massive thank you to Susie. And yes, so if that spurs anyone to head over to the iTunes account and pop in a little review, preferably a 5-star. We're on 4.9. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yes.
Nice high rating, so let's keep it up there. So
leave a nice review, and you might see your words up in lights at some point in the near future as well, across some of our socials.
I'm currently tracking down the anonymous person who wrote the 2-star review.
Yeah, wherever you are, your door is going to get Warbist, and then your face will be Warbist shortly afterwards. And I've never seen it in person, but I've heard the screams through a microphone.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucking terrifying.
Not pretty.
If you're going to leave a 2-star review, then at least leave comments. Just, essentially, you're waiting until the school hero goes down on the football pitch. You run in, you give a little dig in the back, and you run off before anyone sees you.
So anyone who does want to leave a 1 or 2-star review, please do, but at least take the time to give us some, feedback. Peter thinks too much of himself. Matthew, control your seagulls. Gary, little less lamb chat or something. I don't know, stuff we can work with, something to help us improve the show. So
and then we can get them printed on t-shirts.
Yep.
Talking about good feedback, I have got nothing but amazing things to say about this week. I saw Kerry was lighting up Twitter saying, saying positive things about this week's writing and all of the tension.
I just so enjoyed it. And I did ask myself and Twitter, was it because there was no Alice? Did that make me love it all the more? Was it the script writing? I thought it was very well written. Or was it because the characters involved were great? I just totally loved it, apart from Vince getting on the horse. I thought that was silly. Not silly in a good way. He sat on his testicle by the sounds of it.
Yeah, he crushed his prairie oysters, didn't he? I think.
Why did he do that? Why?
To impress the women in his life, apparently.
I didn't feel that was very Vince-like. I've always thought of him as being quite a strident, confident chap. And this week there were little chinks of him not being quite so confident, really.
Understandable. I mean, Lizzie made that sort of throwaway joke, didn't she? To sort of, he was like, I've landed a good one, and she's like, oh,
Or have you?
And I think that even if you are in love with someone and you haven't heard them say it, it was that was well written. That little sigh he let out, so broke my heart.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's real people I don't love as much as Vince. I absolutely adore him.
Aside from waking up in Solomon's bedroom, did we get out of Lower Loxley all week? We were there the whole bloody week, weren't we?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I felt in the end like I was semi-stalking Vince and Elizabeth. Every morning I was waking up with them. And I felt like I was, those, I don't know, is it 4 in a bed? Where you get the kind of,
I love those.
the uncomfortable person that has to go and stay in the really swanky B&B, and they're waking up in the morning like saying, oh, this is a bit fancy, isn't it? Silver dinner tray or what? Silver breakfast tray. And I felt like every morning I was like, I'm waking up next to them again. This is a bit strange.
So you felt a bit like Freddie.
Well, Freddie did feel uncomfortable. I mean, but Freddie deserves everything he gets, because if anyone that uses the word a 4-day chillax deserves not to chill or relax for any days.
The only worst comment was when Rex said, wowzer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't Rex the ultimate mate you need after an infidelity? Like, I've done something terrible. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, he was super matter of fact, wasn't it? He was like, "Look, it's obvious you just like this other guy. You're young, things got steamy. That's it." You know.
I think Rex was front and center for the whole thing because he's going to play a big part in the revelation to Russ. Because I think him and Russ are going to clash, and we saw that vengeful side when he left left the farm, left Bridge Farm, whichever farm it is, Brookfield. When he left Brookfield, Matthew was referring to it last week. He left all those negative reviews, so we know he's got a sort of petty, vindictive streak. I think that he's going to be the one that tells Russ, because he's just going to be like, oh well, you know what. Your girlfriend who you think loves you so much, as she's been knobbing some guy from work. So
Yeah.
that's why he's been brought into the center of it. That's my little silly theory.
He plays himself off as the sponge, doesn't he? But maybe he's absorbing these so he can crush them back out later.
Yeah, it was that's a really good call. I didn't because it struck me when Lily was telling him everything. Why is she telling him all of this? Normally you'd sort of call a girlfriend or something, your busy mate. You'd go, "Oh no, I've done this." I felt it a bit strange that she was opening up to Rex about that. So that is why I think you're
Yeah,
right,
maybe.
Peter. Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking about was that, seeing as I'm getting Kerry's approval, I'm on a roll. I'm going to keep on going. Seeing as it's always been well known that they have a limited number of voice actors they can have in any given period.
Mm.
And if you work at a big company at the end of the year, everyone tries to kind of spunk the budget so they don't lose it in the next year. It kind of felt like they did it this week. It's like, oh, we'll chuck in a Soul, we'll chuck in an Iris, just a bunch of new on-mic characters. And of course, that's just a childish throwaway joke, but actually, Soul's going nowhere. They wouldn't get an actor in and get the audience invested if he's not going to be sticking around. And the same thing with Iris. Like it's too much for them to be in Lower Loxley for the whole week and have these two new characters.
Yeah, because Lily could easily have just said, "I slept with this guy at the office works do."
They could have done it with the Rex chat, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, why are you so sad, Lily? Oh, Rex, I've done something stupid. That's how Monday could have started.
He didn't have to show up as well at the drive-in filmy thing.
For Love Actually. They've had the shittest run of movies at this thing, haven't they? Was it Downton Abbey, Love Actually? I mean, and then her defense of Love Actually was that Nigel and I used to watch it every Christmas.
Yeah.
So that's probably why he threw himself off the roof.
I cheered when Vince said, "Bit wet, isn't it?"
Yeah.
If you were curating it, Matthew, 3 movies then that you would
The Exorcist, Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and The Fog.
Oh, that's. I mean, Kerry with her voice is reminiscent of the sort of sultry lighthouse DJ who kind of hold the whole thing together.
Oh, I haven't seen this, so I need to now hear this DJ person.
The Fog is absolutely mesmerizingly good movie. I mean, we went on at length about Our Love of the Omen a couple of weeks ago, and The Fog's kind of in the same wheelhouse. Is that a fair comment, Matthew?
Yeah, it has to be the original though.
But Lower Loxley did not have Matthew's good taste, so they were watching Hugh Grant dance around his front room.
Oh God!
What else happened in that?
Martine McCutcheon is in it, isn't she?
She's his love interest. But so Soul turns up for that, and I think everyone predicted it, but I predicted that Lizzie was going to say to Vince that she loved him.
You did.
Do you think it was completely obvious?
No.
No? Okay.
But well, having said that, I was just thinking that the Archers do this really unsubtle thing where the film is Love Actually, and the whole thread running through the week's episodes is love. Like when someone goes into the tea rooms and everyone points out the song that's playing in the background, which is a clue to other stuff. So maybe the clue was right there, massively in our faces.
There's never we need to write a song called "I'm a Twat" so we can get the royalties from all the Adam trips to the pub or the cafe. According to that theory, then, Kerry, that would make Russ the spurned wife who opens the present to see her husband's bought the necklace for his assistant.
Oh yeah, that's terrible. Is that the same film?
Emma Thompson. Yeah,
That is a heartbreaking moment.
That's the problem with that movie, is that there are some bits and bobs in it that actually do tug at the old heartstrings.
It's Richard Curtis, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows how to tug at the heartstrings every now and again. I mean, who knows? If I saw it, maybe I'd change my opinion. I didn't altogether hate Four Weddings. Took me a long time to get round to watching it, but it wasn't that bad.
I see the scene with Mr. Ploppy and Mrs. Ploppy in Blackadder was particularly moving.
Oh, that's genius. Obviously.
Yeah.
But Russ, we must talk about him. Very, very strange things have happened to Russ, haven't they? He's become this quite, a new man, hasn't he? He got his decree absolute, which made him become unblocked artistically.
And feel like he was flying.
Yeah, I mean, he said he'd been blocked since moving in with Lily.
Well, there is a problem with the pipes.
Yeah.
Lily, there's been all these strange kind of metaphors about my virility in the plot this whole week. I was trying to do impersonations of him earlier on. It's all the vowel sounds.
His voice is amazing.
I love it. I really love it. Yeah.
I get confused when I see people slagging him off on Twitter because Matthew's fully converted me. I'm just like, how can you not just, he's like an overly rich sort of like little choc pot pudding. Like it's just so intense and sort of rich and tasty, and you keep on going back for more. He's just wonderful.
People hate him because of him being a predatory perv, and so they can't possibly like his voice if he's done those things. Whereas I just think the voice is to be admired for its qualities, separate from the predatory perv stuff.
Every country has its pluses and minuses, and I think sort of British dedication to manners is all well and good, but it does let you down when you're kind of more cross with someone for how they've done something rather than what they've done. So because Brian is sort of like this kind of smooth and charming man, he's forgiven everything. But Russ is way down the pecking order when it comes to atrocities within Ambridge. I mean, I'm not letting him off the hook. I think that Russ's behaviour is slimy and sleazy and reprehensible, but just that it's really like he can't hold a candle to Adam, to Brian.
Well, I understand it's the educator who ends up in a relationship with the student and leaves his wife for that student. I understand where all that kind of comes from. I certainly wouldn't be going on my CV if I was. But it's just. In terms of just the performance and the actor, I could see people were actually getting excited in corners of Twitter that this means his days are numbered. I was like, no, we want this guy in the show. Like, he's such a good actor. He interacts so well in quite a different way that a lot of even the kind of, we've talked before about the class thing on the Archers, and yes, you have the haves and the have not so much, but I think that he does something else completely different to all of those characters, in terms that he can be pompous and he's becoming less pompous, but then in a moment of clarity, he can take art direction from Joy,
yes,
or from Vince's mum,
Iris, yeah.
Yeah, but that's all because it appeals to his. They're flattering him, aren't they? So he's like, oh, really? When she said, I'm just admiring that painting, after he said, the gallery is closed, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. As soon as she went, ooh, that painting's rather nice, he went, really? Because it's about something he's done. So he's totally self-centered and easy to be flattered. Or it just needs a smidge of red. Yes, you're right.
Maybe. I mean, I took that to mean, I started to suspect that Iris was some kind of fairground hypnotist, because she kept on walking into certain rooms. First of all, like she walks in on, all right, there's Vince. Vince can repel her spells, but she walks into Elizabeth's private quarters and there's Freddie going, who are you? And this is private. And then she goes, what's that? And he goes, it's a map of the piping. And then she had,
and then
then like he was totally on her side, and like you said, Kerry, it's the same with Russ. Like he was like, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave, and then she was like, that's a nice painting. He's like, thank you.
Yes. I will do anything you say.
Yeah, there's something going on there. She the only person who she didn't quite snag was Rex, but I think Rex just loves gossip so much. When she said, I'm Vince's mum, he went, really? Like, he's already thinking, how am I going to use this?
Yeah, probably. And the chat she had with Lizzie as well, where she said, "I'm just making sure he's not being taken advantage of." Was it? Yeah, and I couldn't work out which way, whether she was joking or not joking. Did she really think Lizzie was going to be taking advantage of him? Was it sarcasm? Didn't understand. And which reminds me, when she did speak to Freddie, thinking he was the plumber, and said, "So, does the lady of the house, is she up to date? Is she paying your checks on time?"
Mm.
Really scrutinising if the cash flow situation is okay.
Yeah, I mean, not many plumbers wear +4s, golf shoes, and a tam o' shanter, when they're doing their rounds.
Yeah, raspberry chinos or whatever posh people
Yeah,
wear.
exactly, yeah.
But there was that, when she asked that question early on, I was like, why is she asking that exactly? And then that scene where they were looking, she went, you can almost see your house from here, Elizabeth. Would be a shame if something were to happen to it.
She said it's very daunting, isn't it? The size of that, She's really sort of fishing and implying that it's too big a place for just Lizzie to look after, so get Vince in to help, and I might come as well if you're lucky. I couldn't quite work out whether she's scoping them for cash because Vince and her don't have enough, or if she's thinking that Lizzie's a risk.
I felt she was looking at this place thinking this might be a money pit and you're not going to use my son's money.
Yeah, that was alluded to in today's episode, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ah, right,
Yeah.
cool, okay.
Yeah, she said that, your mum was worried that I was going to need you for the upkeep of Lower Loxley.
Ah, that might have been when the Amazon delivery person arrived.
What do we think of Mr. Casey? Every time that Lizzie wants to kind of playfully chat to Vince.
Yes.
It does ring true to the fact that they've always had a slightly, because from their very first meeting, he was he sort of bowled up to her when he was a bit more confident, and was sort of joking around and teasing her. So their relationship always has had a bit of a kind of a playing with who's in charge.
Is it to do with the age thing as well? Because
What's the age difference?
I wish I knew. I envisage him to be in his 60s,
Right.
and I think Lizzie's in her 50s.
She's almost there, isn't she? Right, give or take. David's just turned 60 because we had the whole thing with Disco Dave and all that stuff. And she's not that much younger, I don't think. She's the next down, isn't she? Or is Shula and Kenton are the next ones down. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe she's kind of mid-50s because they knocked them out quick in those days, didn't they? So it would have been
Just a sort of jokey thing to him because he's a bit older, and he sounds older than her, doesn't he? When not just the horse thing and sort of having his twinges,
Yeah.
but he just does sound a bit older. And actually, Iris did say about Vince, he's not the eldest.
Yes, the second, isn't he?
Mm.
The thing, if like Kerry, you were sort of scrutinising the plausibility of it. The thing that really got on my nerves, from that regard, sort of picking holes in how it all works, was that Iris was sort of thought that Lizzie might be sort of highfalutin and the sort of the snobby lady of the house. And then Lizzie was like, "Oh, I'm just a common farm girl who happens to have a 70-year-old soap opera named after my family that basically own and control this whole community." Like this kind of rather disingenuous milkmaid act that she did, just like growing up on a farm. It's like, no, you haven't had a. I mean, am I wrong in feeling that way? I just don't feel like Lizzie's had this simple life that she made out.
No, no. And actually, Vince mentioned it as well, didn't he, earlier on? You're very simple because she hasn't got a tiara cabinet or whatever it was, that she's quite happy having, I don't know.
He said straightforward, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, yeah. She's enjoying that side of it. But yeah, I know what you mean about Iris and her. And I think she was just trying to play it all down to Iris, really.
That's fair enough. We all do
mm.
that, don't we?
Can't really identify Vince's exact age, but Elizabeth was born in 1967, so I would imagine Vince to be a little bit older than that, wouldn't you?
I mean, Matthews dropped the von from his surname to hide his German aristocracy.
Oh, absolutely. Especially after Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yay.
I don't know if this is just my bad instinct to try and pun everything, but did you think her name's Iris, right? Surname is Casey, and she's at one point he referred to as Ma. Is it Iris Ma Casey?
One, that's genius, and two, Matthew, you wouldn't be here without your puns.
Exactly. That is absolute genius.
We need to get that on a drafted tweet for Sunday for the tweet along. Yeah.
Iris Marchese. Oh my god.
The Vince fell asleep before the end of Love Actually, so he doesn't know how it ends. Well, no, he's seen it before. He knows
No,
it's
but
wet,
so
doesn't
did
he?
Lizzie.
But he blamed it on they had one too many pulled pork buns, hog roast buns.
Does that mean he had 12 rather than 11 or something?
I don't think everyone's convinced he's fat.
No, he was absolutely fine for when he jumped on the back of Cloppety Custard or whatever the horse's name is.
Cranford Crystals.
Cranford Crystal,
that
sorry.
name annoys me. Way back when, and I know we mentioned this a couple of months ago or a month ago or something, way back when we first heard about Vince Casey, he was the guy that put the fear of everyone, including, Ambridge Hardman, David, Eddie, everyone. Don't mess with Vince. That was the idea. Do you think that his going toe-to-toe with this manager is a sort of a hint at so do you think this is just keeping that door open to Vince turning?
Yeah, Karen. She's a hard one. That's what Iris said.
But Iris and Lizzie were in Concord that Vince needed to give, cut her a break, and actually she was probably, good for him.
Yeah, I wonder what Vince, he didn't like to discuss it, did he? He doesn't like being told what to do business-wise. He doesn't like input and stuff. So we never really got to hear why Vince is so set on not letting Karen have her time off.
So I think I think they might be sort of developing, like, in The Craze, the mother played by Billie Whitelaw, who is her second mention on the pod. She is, absolutely vile if you cross her family, but a complete saint in the home. And maybe this is what they're going to have with Vince, is just, if you're on his side, there's not a better person in the world, but cross him and it's a world of pain. And it'd be quite, I would quite like to, now that he's in a relationship with Lizzie, I'm quite keen to see him rounded out a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason this Karen's been mentioned, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's no need for her to have been mentioned, other than that I totally fell for it because I thought he'd made that up because someone kept ringing him and he kept looking at his phone and he was trying to avoid his mother. That's what I thought. But actually, the mother mentioned Karen as well, didn't she? So it was.
That's the new way we have to listen to the Archers, is you're always looking for some kind of, but this means this and this means that, which I absolutely love. But it's gone are the days when you could just let it kind of wash over you.
Yeah, well, yeah, you might be right.
I was trying to think then, who said recently in the Archers that they liked Vince but they wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him? But it was Susie on our podcast last week that said that.
Oh, maybe she knows something.
But then his mum kind of turned that around, didn't she? And said, he's a
good egg.
He said he can get into trouble. Lots of egg idioms, wasn't there? He can get into trouble quicker than I can crack an egg, she said.
Yeah.
Carrie, don't tell Matthew, but I don't know what an idiom is.
Stop it.
I don't. I'm not as educated as you guys. I don't know what it is.
It's to do with eggs, Peter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an egg thing, Peter. Any sentence that involves egg or ovoid vocabulary is an idiom.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay, all right. We can carry on now. Yeah, thank you.
That's an eggium. An idiom is a non-literal phrase, like, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Okay, I understand. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
What were the other eggy ones then? There was a different egg, wasn't there?
She said he's a good egg.
Yeah, but then you said there was another one.
So didn't she say he was soft in the middle?
Oh, that's it. And that's no yolk.
Matthew has a brain like a bear trap. Like, this stuff just gets caught in there. Nothing escapes. It's absolutely remarkable.
It was strange. I mean, like, obviously egg is her go-to lexicon. She'll show up next week with a whole bunch of I don't know, like anchovy jokes or something.
Kerry, Worbis Snack Chat, where does the Scotch egg sit on your top 10? Put scratchings at the top, obviously. Pocket Full of Lamb, famously, is up there. No one else has that in their wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Scotch egg.
Not asked.
Okay, there you go. Good to know. Thank you.
I think it might be because I've had poor ones. I think if you could get a right cracker, then it would be good. If really super duper, properly artisan mobile food.
You remember I went down to went down to Lisbon to check that chippy out. Not principally just to check out that chippy, but they do their own. Did I send you a photo of the Scotch egg that they
You
make
did.
on the
That looks
premises?
really good.
Yeah, Cumberland sausage meat around the egg and then crumbed and fried. I'm not a massive fan of Scotch eggs because I like boiled eggs, but I don't like eating the white. I only like eating the yolk.
Oh, you pussy. God, all this fussy bloody...
I've never liked the egg white. There are very few things that I won't eat. I do like pork pies. That's pretty much the first thing I do once I get through an airport now. Is there's generally a Marks and Spencer's. Last time my dad was coming to meet me at Birmingham Airport instead of Bristol, and I just made a beeline to the M&S, and I'd already had like an 8-pack of cider under my arm and about like 18 mini pork pies. And as my dad arrived, I was leaving with this bag, and he went, "We've got a load of pork pies for you in the car."
Oh, bless him. He knows what you like.
Yeah.
Rex could make pork pies, couldn't he?
He could.
Mm.
You were saying a lot of nice things about Rex earlier on in the week, Kerry.
Was I?
Yeah.
It was Freddie I liked. I can't remember saying anything nice about Rex.
I was complimentary about his ability to just be the perfect ear when there was guilt. And I also I liked his little interchange with Iris. What was the other thing he said? Oh, when Lily said, "I'm just checking he hasn't put anything up on Facebook." And he was like, "I thought you said he was a good bloke." Like, who would put something shitty on social media? Oh, that's right. Me.
Yeah, that's true. Sol actually sounds quite decent. He said, "I don't have a Facebook account," which in my books means you're elevated immediately to a higher plane.
She said it was overrated, didn't she?
Yeah.
Lily, when he said that.
That did steal my thunder because at the beginning of the week I had been sort of going, aha, this is yet more proof the scriptwriters are out of touch, but they got it squirmed out of it.
No, I thought I was singing the praises of Freddie, I think. Well, I was definitely doing that to you. I can't remember if I did it on Twitter, but I really enjoyed him this week. He was lovely to Vince. His interactions with Russ were good as well, I thought. And him sort of sulkily sitting around the breakfast table and having to have dinner with his mum and Vince.
Yeah. With Vince's signature dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was... Freddie has... So, for instance, we just talked about Rex, now we're talking about Freddie. Rex has been problematic. I mean, I've always liked Rex, but his personality keeps going all over the place, and it also seems to be contextual as well, which I guess is true to life. But this is not real life. This is the Archers, where we need a much more kind of simple version of it. We need caricatures to make it kind of more to make it an easy listen. And I think with Freddie, they found a very consistent voice for him, which is, for a pigletty creature like me, it makes my life much simpler. And so when Freddie goes into a situation, his pettiness is always superficial. He is going to be doing the right thing. So yes, he's being a sulky teenager, but he's also the person rolling up his sleeves and getting stuck in to help people.
Yeah.
And yes, he was a bit sort of arch and snobbish with Iris, but once it breaks down, he's then immediately nice and sort of affable.
He's got a really good directness about him, Freddie, as well. He just cuts to the quick straight away, whether it's with sulky voice or not sulky voice. He'll just go, "Are you two all right at the moment?" Or, "Who are you? You're not meant to be here."
I've said it 1,000 times, but this is if you want to be high up the Warbis popularity charts, directness and honesty is a good way to go.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's why I was extra warming to him this week, because I haven't in the past, to be honest with you. Yeah.
He was very direct about the fact that he didn't like that they were going to be hanging around Lower Loxley, his mum and Vince, did he? Not that he was, I mean, even sitting down to the at the dinner table when Vince has cooked, and he was like, "Oh, Lily gets a takeaway, Russ gets to eat in the gallery. I have to sit here with you two." And then he was like, "Is there any more beer?"
Yeah, and this is delicious. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I really, and that was part of the reason I really liked this week was those little intimate scenes. I like things like when people are sitting around the dinner table together and having a chat. The real domestic stuff where not an awful lot of action is happening, but you're hearing how they're relating to each other over quite mundane scenarios. I like that a lot.
They could, they could do this for the Alice plot as well. we've said this over the last few weeks. We don't always need to hear Alice distressed and drunk. They can keep Alice going and keep it a realistic plot line where you know that she's still having problems without having to have something as on the nose as a horse side chat with Shula or a brick through the window. And that way they can honour the severity of the disease and at the same time not bore us with an inch of our lives. And I think that this week's been that's why, to your point, Kerry, that's why this week's been so entertaining, because you did have the ratcheting tension knowing that the Russ and Lilly thing were coming. Oh, by the way, 10 out of 10 for the sidestep where they threw us a Lilly proposal.
Brilliant.
Oh my God, yes.
Me and my wife both went just like off at the same time. It was just, I was just like, no.
It was just the way even his reaction was a distraction, wasn't it? Where he went, "Oh, darling, don't be fucking ridiculous."
That's the fucking last thing we need.
I just got out of a fucking marriage, you daft.
I know. I mean, why did she say that? I was shocked and mortified and
emotional pressure because Solomon's waving over at that moment, isn't it? And she's like,
"So you have to marry your boyfriend?" Oh my God, that was
rush of blood to the head, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank God he said no.
Perhaps she'd had too many pork buns.
It was a very good painting. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, she was bewitched by this painting, wasn't she?
Maybe he'd added a smidge of red on Iris's advice, and we didn't get to hear that.
The painting, that was quite interesting, wasn't it? But it is quite romantic, isn't it? But doing an amazing painting of someone.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Would that drag a proposal out of you, Kerry?
No.
What if it was done like for you? The ultimate one would be like, you know how kids make those macaroni paintings, but for you it would be like out of pork scratchings. beautiful painting. Like it would have to be bacon wheat crunchies for the hair to get the kind of
Matthew
like
is
red
googling
box.
this image right now. I can hear him. Probably.
No, I'm not.
I bet you. Oh,
no,
God.
I'm picturing it in my head.
Yeah.
I'm not googling it.
No, yeah, I might make one myself of myself.
So if anyone wants to propose to Kerry, this is your way. A beautiful meat-based painting.
Have you ever seen that? Like someone made a meat baby on a platter. Have you ever seen that photo?
So that weird German scientist.
No, and I've been to that scientist.
I love that. I went
exhibitions.
To that. Yeah, in London. It was amazing. I've got the book.
But no,
it's over there on my shelf.
This is far more disturbing, where someone just like decided to celebrate birth of a new baby by like forming mince on a tray. With kind of eggs for eyes and something like that. And unfortunately, once it's been through the oven, it looks 10 times more terrifying than before it went in.
Yeah, do you think Lily will be pregnant? I mean, not everyone who has sex once is going to be pregnant, but, it's a soap opera, isn't it?
And this is just on the back of him neglecting her. So maybe they get back together tonight and he'll think it's his because of the timeline.
Yeah.
I did look at Solomon. Solomon struck me as a name that was kind of ethnically ambiguous. Like it could have been, it could be someone from a number of different backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So I did look up the actor to see, what they look like, because I was curious because there's been a kind of like a rolling conversation about, diversity within the Archers. So I was like, okay, Solomon, maybe that's an opportunity. But no, he's a white guy. So there's not going to be a why
a reveal at the birth.
Yeah. Is it bad? Is it wrong to find people who die doing gender reveals very funny, or does that make me an incredibly evil and awful person?
I'm sure I've laughed at that. So, but then maybe I'm evil as well.
Yeah,
so.
I just sort of feel like it's such a crappy way to spend your time in the first place. So
yeah,
anyway.
There was one recently, wasn't there? How did it happen? Was it a firework thing?
Yeah, where someone kind of just blew themselves up.
Oh, that's one hell of a way for us to go.
I do remember there being some wedding night thing in America where the wife was dancing for the husband to Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and she decided to kick the heel of the shotgun against the floor as it hit one of the main beats of the song, and it killed her husband.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
So are we saying that gun laws in America aren't working? Is that what we're saying? I don't know. I said I'm on the fence on this one. I can't decide.
Maybe don't dance with a gun.
Yeah.
As well, perhaps.
Or just don't bring a gun to your wedding.
Yeah, there's that as well.
I went to a friend's wedding in Texas a good few years ago, and there had to be like an 11th hour discussion with his in-laws, his wife-to-be's family, because they all wanted to fire their shotguns off at the end of the ceremony. And the larger family name, not her name, but the larger family name was Brady. So we were like, who's going to tell him?
Oh, God.
But yeah, luckily they didn't.
I've just remembered I tweeted this morning on my own Twitter a little GIF, and I just went, morning, and it's a couple who've just got married and they're releasing a dove each. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, so it was amazing.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I'll say no more, and you can go and find it.
I was thinking of adding music to it, but it's just incredible.
It's so good. Yeah.
Because it's Kerry saying this, I assume the dove flies into a fan or something. Or something very bad happens to the doves.
No, they both fly away and everything's absolutely fine.
Okay, all right. I don't believe that at all. Kerry is a good person, but not when it comes to this sort of thing.
Oh, it's very funny.
So what were we blathering on about? Rex something?
It was pork pies. It was Scotch eggs.
Rex making pork pies.
Yeah,
I think we covered it, didn't we?
We really have. I think. Yeah, Lizzie's simple, bagged a good un. Iris.
It was quite a simple. There was, I mean, I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. I mean, you guys were talking about the fact that it was a self-contained. It was in Lower Loxley. Matthew said that, and Kerry was talking about the kind of the intimacy of it. And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. It was simple. You could just concentrate on the one or two plots. You weren't having to, veer left, right, and centre. You didn't have Eddie turning up. I mean, I love Eddie, but you didn't have Eddie turning up with a bloody limo. It's like, what? It was just nice. It's like let's concentrate on this family. It was almost like the monologues where they sort of created they created some there were some limitations that forced them to be more sort of like focused with the scripting.
Yeah, I was very fearful that Eddie was going to rock up to Love Actually in the limo and ruin everything because So I was very glad that he didn't.
You've got Eddie limo PTSD. You're sort of not able to. He's sort of living in
I've just remembered as well. Lily said to Rex about Sol. She sort of went in a reverie, said he's funny, energetic, attractive. And I thought that the implication there is that Russ is none of these things.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So Russ is not funny, not energetic, and not attractive to her.
It doesn't have
she's
dimples.
Just proposed to him.
Yeah. And the other thing was, I mean, the dimples I felt was a very, one, she made it very clear that it was a good night of sex because Rex said, "Oh, it can't have been that good then." And then also I felt like, I felt like the dimples was a very heavy clue as to sort of, it was more than just he's more than just superficially good looking to her. There's a kind of a depth to her attraction.
And how she said about the dimples, I didn't even know I really liked dimples. She was off and away, wasn't she? Like, yeah, definitely likes him.
She also did that thing in the very first scene where it wasn't clear immediately after he'd wind her up about posting on Facebook, which he wasn't, and then she just starts reading a reference letter that he's written about himself.
Oh, yeah.
He's energetic, blah blah. And I was just like, is she now writing a review of him on social media from the night before? But it was just this kind of thing that he had carte blanche to write whatever he wanted, and his old boss would sign
and I'll go like a barn door in a storm.
It was funny how she leapt out of bed and ran away the minute he mentioned a management role. And I thought, is that because, did it mean she remembered she was supposed to be managing
I think
Lower Loxley, or was it because how he spoke suddenly reminded her of Russ? I couldn't work that out.
I thought it was the former, but you've just made me think that actually, wouldn't it be amazing if Sol becomes her boss, and that's why he's then in the plot, so we start to hear some awkwardness between them because she turns up late and he's now desperately trying to.
But it wasn't within the company; it was somewhere else, wasn't it?
He's leaving. He's moving out of bathrooms and going into sportswear.
Oh, I misremembered. I heard that he was leaving the company, but I thought that there was a kind of but he said to her, "Can't you imagine me in management?" Maybe I made it up in my head. Oh well, never mind. I thought that's another thing I've got wrong. Oh well. Well, Sol was applying for a new job, and we've got a job for you, listeners. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm very, very sorry. And the job is promoting us on social medias. So Kerry is the queen of Twitter. Where do we live, Kerry?
We live at the Cider Shed Pod.
Yeah, and please, anything that you think is worthy of your time, share a little bit of love and send it around. And people have been, and we're very, very grateful.
Yeah, there's a lot of activity on there. It's great. Daily, I'm all over it. We're creeping towards 900 followers, and I aim to have 1,000 before I die. So,
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's one hell of a way to break it to us, Kerry.
I'm going to be watching that with fear now.
And Matthew is now on his summer hiatus and has switched into a terrifyingly high social media gear and has a kind of an onslaught planned over the next couple of weeks.
Just been bullying people, really, haven't I? Yeah, we've got an Instagram. We're all we're down with the kids. We've got it's called the Cider Shed Pod on Instagram, and we've got Facebook, which you don't have to pay attention to Lily and Solomon. It's not that overrated. It's the Cider Shed Podcast on Facebook, and as soon as I figure out how to dance again after lockdown, I'll have our TikTok up and running.
Oh my God, really?
No, but the fact that I actually called it TikTok suggests that I won't.
Tic Tacs.
My 12-year-old students are already over TikTok because it's done. Is it? They basically told me because adults have discovered it.
Right, yeah, me included. So So can you please some homework, Matthew? Next week, can you tell us how to be down with the kids? What are we supposed to be interacting with?
Well, I'll give it a go. Like I said, I'm not going to see them for a couple of months now.
Well, but you're that creepy teacher who gets in touch during the holidays.
No, I didn't. You kidding? The first thing you do as a teacher is you tightly lock any socials you think they might find. Instagram went on lock straight away. Doesn't mean I didn't tell them about the podcast.
We've got a friend who he needed a new house here. They had extra kids, and so they had to move to the neighborhood where his school was. And it was just, and it just transformed their life, because before, when he went home, he was getting away from the kids. And now every time he went to a park, there was a sniggering teenager kind of pointing and laughing because he was doing crazy things like having a sandwich or...
Yeah.
Everything that you see in the in-betweeners is true. When a kid sees you outside of the school environment, one of two things happens. They either think it's absolutely the most hilarious thing that's ever happened, that they've just seen you, or that they just do not want to even acknowledge you. They get really, really awkward and embarrassed. Like I caught one of my older students smoking. I say caught. I was walking through Porto and I bumped into him, and the look he gave me, he was walking out of a cafe and lighting up, and the look was just like, oh shit.
My mum was a maths teacher at secondary school. She bought children's cigarettes.
Well, it was different times then, wasn't it, Kerry?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that long ago.
So to use the often used acorn rolling from an oak tree, you were a graft then.
She liked the baddies. She got on really well with the sort of slightly off the rails kids who always came good. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, she did. She has been known to buy some fags for them.
For fuck's sake, it's a nice oscillate triangle, you dopey twat. Have another fag, giant.
Yeah. You're never going to get the Pythagoras theorem without 20 Rothmans inside you.
Don't chalk up another line, you greedy bastard. Don't have it hog all yourself.
She's not from Yorkshire, but I love it. I love your interpretation.
But I didn't do an offensive Latvian accent.
I'd like to hear you try, to be honest.
Okay, well, yeah, I'll work on my Latvian accent. Matthew can help us all become down with the kids, and Kerry's got to complete her top 10 of meaty snacks.
I would like to, just as a disclaimer, she was a very highly regarded teacher and was head of year and all of that kind of thing. But she
happened to sell cigarettes to kids.
She connected with. She didn't sell cigarettes to children. She bought some for some.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. It's a way of bonding, isn't it, with the baddies?
It's a more innocent time. Yeah, no, I've heard many things about your mum, and all of them good.
Peter.
Yes?
Unless I'm much mistaken, you now have to say the email.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yes. Please email us with any questions, anything that you want us to improve within reason. I mean, personnel isn't going to change, so don't bother with that. But apart from that, get in touch. hello@thecidershed.com, and we'd love to hear from you. And yeah, it's a great week on the Archers. This show, I have had a miserable week, and the show has lifted me up again as always. So thank you to Matthew and Kerry.
Yeah, my week's been shit, to be honest with you. I've had 5 job interviews. I've got another tomorrow. So yeah, this is a ray of sunshine in
You have
amongst all of that.
definitely had the worst week of the three of us, Kerry.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
You want to win that competition?
Yeah, I've been mostly sitting on my arse, if I'm honest, this week, with a little bit of housekeeping regarding school to do. But yeah, we've all had a better week than Britney Spears. Free Britney.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, free Britney.
Free pork pies? I'd like that.
Yeah, free pork pies.
Free Britney, free pork pies, and thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See ya. Bye.